Hall, 911 Church Street in Fredonia, New York, for tonight's workshop on April 14, 2025, beginning at 6 p.m. I'm Mayor Mike Ferguson, and let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm just going to make a quick comment that I'm going to make. It's a short comment, but I want to make it before both meetings because I don't know if people watch both meetings or not. Before I get into this report, I want to thank the board, specifically Deputy Mayor John Esperson for covering my back during my procedures. I'd also like to thank the rest of the board for their hard efforts on our proposed budgets. I want to thank Anne Marie Johnson, Alyssa LeBeau, along with Karen McGill for keeping everything as it should be, the day-to-day operation of the Village of Fredonia. I would also like to thank our various department heads and their teams for making sure that the service you expect every day continues for you and your families. DPW, police, fire, water treatment plant, wastewater treatment, churning along 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year due to these men and women. And with that, I say thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and let's get into the meeting. Resolutions. Volunteer active list removal request. Any discussion? Number 2, Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department Annual Fund Drive. Number 3, Volunteer Fireman Banner Approval. Number 4, General Lafayette Jubilee Event Approval.
We tabled that at our last meeting. Trustee Twitchell wanted to have the opportunity to speak to Chief Price and make sure that he's good with the plan. Have you had a chance to? Did you see that?
He didn't see it.
Didn't see it?
No.
Okay.
It's my, it was just explained to me, it's my understanding they're going from the Water Street parking lot,
Yes.
Canada Way.
or down Canada Way.
Right, around Canada Way, up Main, and then ending in the park. Do we have a copy of that for the,
You had it in
for
your
the
packet
chief?
at the
Right.
last meeting.
I was going to say,
It's not in this tonight's meeting, no. The map isn't, but the.
What is it there?
Yeah.
It's a parade, correct?
It's a reenactor of General Lafayette and him arriving down in the village.
So it's essentially a procession.
I believe it's, he's on.
It's one person,
Yeah. There's a
One
carriage.
a carriage, horse carriage.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, if it's, yes, if it's not a long,
No,
if
no,
it's, you're saying it's small and contained? I
that's
don't
the
see it
only
as a
one,
I don't see it as a
correct.
problem.
And then the gun salute, you're fine
I
with
don't
that?
see any problem shooting off guns.
Okay.
It's the whole French army.
Say that. Okay, number 5.
Red lines.
Yes,
You see any birds or ducks come falling out of the sky, you know what's going on. Number 5 is advertised for sealed chemical bids. Number 6, advertised for sealed metered fuels and water meters and hydrants. Number 7, New York State Information Technology Services Resolution Approval. And number 8, Police Benevolent Association Collective Bargaining Agreement.
Have we run that past our attorneys?
I don't believe so, no.
No?
Chuck sent us a copy of it though, right?
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
that was done in the meeting. Our attorneys weren't there?
No.
No.
Okay.
No, it was
I
done
believe,
without our attorneys.
I believe both attorneys were in the loop.
Chuck wrote up the
I know
agreement.
Chuck was, because he wrote it. I just wanted to make sure that our attorneys had a chance to review it with them as well.
When the officer brought it up to me, he said, can you get this on to the meeting? And I said,
Right.
yeah, I assumed,
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't have.
Okay.
It was my understanding Chuck and Melanie were in conversation, but
Well, they had many conversations. I would be surprised if that wasn't one of them.
John, we can double check on that in the morning or tonight and see.
Yeah, if we have time in
Yeah,
between,
maybe in
I would like
between.
to.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that she was involved in that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Or Alyssa, do you want to see if you can call her now?
I can shoot her a text.
Yeah.
If there's no other discussion of the resolutions, we move to department reports. Code Enforcement Office.
I drew up some changes to our fee schedule, mostly affecting commercial site plans, towers, the new solar law that we had no fees for at all, and the proposed battery facility that we have no fees for. So if the board, I think the board's got a copy of them. If everybody's in agreement, I'll clean it up and then submit it for resolution next month, or next board meeting.
Super. Thank you.
Is this, for the in-ground swimming pools, is that 2 cents, or is that 2%? What is that?
2% of the cost
Okay.
of the project. There's, we end up going back and forth and stuff, but there's fences that have to be put in, there's locking gates that have to be put in. And those type of permits are like usually $70,000. So, but we're spending a lot of time on them. So I wanted to get that up a little bit, and that's comparable to the other towns. For some reason, we were real low. Same with garages, I've seen a lot of bigger garages now that are requiring more inspections. Where it used to be a flat fee, now it's a flat fee plus 10%, or 10 cents a square foot. And the rest of it's all commercial stuff, zoning variances. Use variances I want real high to discourage because they're never approved anyways. So hopefully they won't spend the money and stuff. But if there's any changes, let me know and I can change it up and get it ready for you.
All right.
I also took the liberty, I know that we're gonna do a resolution tonight, but I did the application for the vendors. It's just waiting for a fee and who's gonna do it. I have no problem with my office doing it, along with the food trucks. So we've got an application, we copied it to Anne Marie too, in case she was in the loop. So I think I did that, you guys have a copy of that?
It's in their packet.
Should be in your
Yeah.
Yeah,
packets.
so if you have any questions on that or changes on that, we're more happy to change it up for you.
Chuck, is there any talk about the number of, adjusting the number of days? Again, you know,
For the food trucks?
from my job, from my job, I have to look out for the brick and mortar. You know, these are people that have invested in buildings. They suffer through employee wage increases, taxation, toilet breaks down in their building, they're the ones that gotta fix it and get it all taken care of, versus 7 days a week of somebody who may or may not show up and may or may not disappear shortly. So while I'm not against food trucks, I'm somewhat concerned about what happened towards the end of last summer when, and great food trucks, by the way, nothing personal against any of them. Wonderful people try to make money for their families like anybody else. I'm not quite sure it's fair that a food truck is here 5, 6, 7 days a week versus restaurants that are trying to struggle to keep their doors open.
We did limit the times. We actually have times on the application. They can't come in before 5 o'clock in the morning, and they have to leave by 10 o'clock at night unless they're an event. The planning board did look at that request and felt that we advocated for food trucks, and it was just hard for them to really say, no, now you can't come here but these days a week. This is something we promoted and wanted for a long time when we did this law. So the planning board was under the understanding that we wanted it the way it was. So it's up to the board.
I don't think it'll be a real problem either, Mayor, because these people go to other areas besides Fredonia with their food trucks.
And I just,
Well, we'll make sure we direct the phone calls that I get to the proper people when they start coming in.
We are not here to legislate to accommodate how someone chooses to run their business. That's just
We're not telling them
what
how
we're
to
here
choose
for.
to run their business. We're putting
I'm not saying
laws
that
in
we are,
place.
but they choose to run their business a certain way, so we are not going to legislate things to accommodate their choices.
Well, I kind of think that's our job to a certain extent, but I'm not here to argue the point. Is that it, Chuck?
Yeah, please, if you have any questions for me. I think that's it. The planning board meets tomorrow night. The hospital asked for postponement again. They're just trying to finalize some stuff. They're hoping that they get out for May. Same with the that solar project. They're hoping to get out for May, but there was some problems with the property that they just wanted to hold back another month to do their due diligence. Sonic's been approved. I'm just waiting for a final set of plans that the planning board chairman can stamp approved. And then I think they want to dig in May, so that's moving along quite well. That the DOT was a holdup, and DOT finally signed off on everything and said they were happy with it now, so.
I spoke to Penn Morris over the weekend, and he said you should start seeing the white barn coming down this week or next week, so weather dependent, but.
We're all set on that end. I mean, we already issued the demolition permits and stuff.
Yeah.
I think they were just waiting for, some of the DEC had something to do with that, and I'm not sure what. Typically, the DEC doesn't get involved with demolitions. Must have been the chemicals that they had there or something. They maybe wanted to make sure the site was clean,
Sure.
but I think there was that approval then, so.
So it's moving forward. Thank you. DPW.
Yeah, the Route 20 project got awarded. Had a meeting with a contractor in the state last week. We're planning on starting May 1st, weather permitting, but, so there's gonna be some construction going on, through town. It's gonna be a couple months. We've got some drainage inlets to redo, some bump outs to install, a couple culverts, and then it's gonna be, a milling from village line to village line. So pretty excited about that.
Yeah. There's a lot of work put into it, and I want to thank
There was
Michelle and Nicole and the people that worked on that. Dave was a part of that, and you, as well as you, for getting that done. It's going to be some very exciting work. So folks may want to keep that on your calendar too, that if they want to find alternate routes to get back and forth around town, because it will be a little busy. Scott, have we heard anything about Water Street repaving yet? I know that's county, that's not state. Okay, just asking.
Talked about for a few years, and I don't know what's going on.
All right.
I spoke to Rebecca at Lake Erie Management Commission. She said that should be coming up soon, and she'll notify me so I can let you know and everybody know.
Excellent. I
on
know
that project.
they were just holding up the crosswalk there until that's done. There's no sense in doing all that work and then having to redo it again.
Work it out, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get it all done while 20 was getting done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Scott, thank you. Fire Department, Chief is not here. Police Department.
Dispatcher we hired started today.
She's very green. It's gonna take a while to bring her up to speed, a lot of training. Been working on trying to fill the 2 patrolman spots. I had 3 people that I was hopeful we could find 2 out of, and been struggling. Me and Alyssa have been struggling with civil service. I think I have 1 that I can hire. I'm hoping that we can hire him for the next meeting, because 2 weeks after that, the academy will start in Alfred. So I don't have 2 candidates. I'm hoping I can at least fill one of the spots by then.
Okay. Alyssa, I was going to ask you, I attended a symposium where they were talking about loosening the restrictions on civil service and maybe eliminating some of the things that you have to go through for qualifications. Do you know if that's been implemented yet, or is that sort of a later next year type thing?
It's probably later because nothing's been implemented yet.
Okay. Okay. Michelle, do you have anything for Recreation Department for us? I don't mean to catch you off guard.
Oh,
but-
no,
Okay.
that's okay. I know Kayla did send us all some information on that, and we will be talking to her about how we will be readjusting people that want to have their children in that program. That will be in the budget. We will be charging $20 per child
Okay.
and $25 for children that are out of the area.
Thank you.
And yes, and we still have to look into, because don't we have to split that money with the town of Pomfret somehow?
I don't know if it's just split,
Yeah.
well, there's a percentage, yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
percentage, right,
Yeah.
that we'll be looking at.
Right, because they have some of the playgrounds that we have and vice versa.
Exactly.
Is there any talk, I know last year I raised everybody's ire over possibly closing one of the playgrounds, which we ended up closing 2 weeks into the event, about not opening that this summer and kind of funneling those in the
I
area?
didn't hear anything about that.
She didn't say anything about closing a playground, but she did say that her staffing is, I think, 2 less.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
So I would anticipate, I would assume that that means that
Yeah.
she's kind of looking at.
I mean, we should probably try to address that before it becomes an issue. I mean, nobody, when we did close it, there was no more negativity before we said we were gonna close it.
Right.
But we only have, if I remember right, we only had one child show up for 2 weeks. And sporadic days, and
Exactly.
you're tying up 2 or 3 people there, so they can be used elsewhere.
I might not be remembering correctly, but it seems like we discussed that when we had a meeting with Kayla and the town of Pomfret.
I know they're leaving Gardner closed,
Right,
Okay,
which is the one that closed last year.
That was the one,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
yeah.
okay,
would
well, then
make
it's-
sense.
that addresses that issue. Anything else, Michelle?
No, that's all, Mayor.
Thank you. Wastewater treatment plant.
We are finished with the repairs to the bar screen and everything's running well with that. Erlissa has turned in our application for the New York State EFC Engineering Planning Grant. And one of our filter beds is out of service. We are having issues with the mud well valve and we're working on solutions for that. That's all I have.
I'm glad you know what you're doing, that's for sure. Water treatment plant, I'm assuming Lewis is not here tonight. There's nothing under discussion of department reports, new business. RFP for additional legal representation.
So it appears that we received 2 RFPs. And I don't know if you've had a chance to review those yet. One was at a really high rate that we need to cross them off our list. And one was commensurate pretty much with what our current attorneys are costing us now. And our list will let us know today that our fees are going up with,
Is that the one that we received a while back?
no, our fees are going up with our current.
No, I'm talking about
Yeah.
Mr. Flynn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So, did we sign we haven't signed an agreement with anything
No.
yet?
No.
So I would like to move ahead and put that law firm in our
Yeah.
bullpen and draft a contract specifically stating that they will be used upon the full vote of the Board of Trustees, or we will be using the attorney of record.
I just want to explain to the general public, there's no change in the attorneys that we're using. Many communities have multiple attorneys in their arsenal, some many. These attorneys do not receive anything from us unless we use them. So it's just adding additional legal representation to our vendors.
And I guess we should mention who it is. It's Lippis Mathias.
Right. Vendor permit application.
That's what Chuck just
think
spoke
Chuck-
about.
Yeah, I
Kinda
have a
covered it.
copy of that.
And is there any other new business to be brought before the board?
Do you want to talk about that?
Just
I was
the,
hoping to hear what they had to say about the application.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Does anyone have any problems with it? It looks pretty complete.
it looks pretty good to me.
Yeah.
I think we should do is stop the law, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Are we doing that this tonight?
No.
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 Yeah, that's an impression there.
Yeah.
Do we have a fee that we're going to impose? That was one thing that was not filled in on the law.
So you
So-
don't want to put the fee on the law, because then every time that you change the fee, you then have to go through the
Change the law.
process
So
of
we
changing
need
the
to
law.
pass the law and then pass a fee
Pass a
resolution?
fee resolution, yes.
Fair enough.
Separate it.
So,
Yes.
Because changing laws,
Yeah, we don't want to have to do that every time.
we've been sitting on this law for, what year is this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
Let's put it on the agenda, if we could.
and deal
for the
with
next
it
meeting,
That
next
sounds
meeting.
good.
And approve it.
Yeah.
Does it have to
Proposed
go
vendor's law.
before anybody, or is it all set?
It is
It came,
all set.
it
Okay.
came to us, to the planning board,
Okay,
back when I was in high school,
Do we need a public hearing? Do
so.
sorry?
we need a public hearing?
Yeah, we already did that.
We already did
But are we
that.
outside of the time?
We're
frame? When did we
outside
do
of the
it?
time, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we need a new public hearing.
Good catch.
I think we also need for you to approve the application. I mean, we need a resolution for that, I believe. 'Cause
Okay.
that had to be
Okay.
done for the solicitor's permit as well.
That's fine. So we'll do one for the application approving it. Is it too late to add the public hearing to
Wednesday?
Wednesday?
Yes, because it has to be
Yeah.
on your desks for 7 days before the public hearing, 5 days before the public hearing.
Okay.
You have to have it in your hands.
Right.
And
Yeah.
If we're not gonna have the fee in the law, then we need the fee on the license.
Right,
On the application?
Yeah.
The application as
Yeah.
it stands has a $10 fee on it. You know,
We
We just gotta put that in there just to fill in something.
yeah.
Right.
can do the resolution for announcing the public hearing on Wednesday.
we could do that. We
So
could call
it's
for the
the
public
next-
hearing on
Next
Wednesday.
meeting.
Right.
Okay, and then do the public hearing before the board meeting
Okay, on the 28th.
on the 28th, and then tentatively plan to pass that resolution on the 28th.
We're looking at probably June before. Because, then he has to go to the Department of State and everything else before I can enforce it.
Yeah.
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 So it's gonna be a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what is your feeling about what the fee should be then?
What is our fee at now?
On the copy I have, it says there's a $10 fee. Chuck just put that on as a placeholder, though, just to have a place to put the fee. I got that. On this version, you have a slightly older version, I think.
Oh.
And you don't have the second page,
No, I
right? The
don't.
second page is just,
You think anybody's not gonna do the work if it's a $20 fee and then over a $10 fee?
or even a $50 fee.
Yeah.
I think that would be reasonable. You know, it's not every time you come to the village, it's once a year.
It's the application fee.
It's the application fee. So I would be happy at almost any price.
That's per year, right?
Yeah.
That's an annual.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's,
Yeah.
let's do 50 then.
Let's do it, yeah, 50 is reasonable.
How much?
50?
50, would that be good?
Okay, you're right, yes.
That's up to the board, not me.
Yeah,
I just enforce it. Unless there's complaints.
I was gonna say,
I hear you.
The complaint department,
Yeah.
second floor. Elevators available.
The second page is just, it's just the vendor's employees. And that's Gary can screw that up a little bit. But it's just the vendor's employees that we have on the second page.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion on new business?
We had spoken at one of our budget hearings, it came to light, thank you, Mr. Felt, that the utility rates are going, the skyrocketing. We had to budget an extra $50,000 this year just to power the wastewater treatment plant, from $150,000 to somewhere around $200,000. I think it's time for us to see if state has money available, green money available for maybe solar panels on some of our buildings to cut down our utility cost. It's not likely that those costs are going down anytime soon. So I think we need to explore.
John, if you want to send me, just send me that with a text, we can start with the phone calls to our officials tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think Erlissa was going to see if there's any state
There's-
money available. And that may not be possible until the new budget passes.
And there's some information on the National Grid website, I just didn't have
Okay.
time to dig into it yet.
Been a
So
little busy?
a little bit.
A bit?
Because, yeah, if we can cut even a percentage out, it
Yeah,
would be
that's-
really nice.
Right.
$200,000 to power one building. I mean, it's,
Well, it's a
Sure,
pretty
it's-
major
it's-
operation.
it is.
There's a lot of things involved in
yeah.
that.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot.
Okay, old business, pickleball court repair.
So I was in contact with Ed Kirchmeier. And Diane Hannum from NCCF. The funds are coming through the Doug Manley funds to repair the pickleball court, and they will, they're working directly with the pickleball club to get those funds to them.
Excellent.
We owe a lot of thanks to NCCF for doing that. They funded the repairs to the gazebo last year as well. So,
Doug Manley's legacy lives on.
Liz, and that's
wonderful.
what he wanted when he left that money. So
Yeah.
we're very thankful that they agreed to step up and use some of those funds for that project.
And thank you for looking into that. Any other old business?
I want to thank Erlissa and Chuck for getting the information together so that we can submit to the state what they're looking for so we can become a pro-housing community. I had asked Erlissa and Chuck to do that a while ago, and it's been done, so that should be forwarded very shortly if it's not already done.
Okay.
So thank you, both Chuck and Erlissa, for doing that.
Anything else from the board? No. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're wrapping up our workshop for today, April 14th. We will be back, are we starting early or are we going with 7 o'clock?
We are covered either way.
Okay.
So if you want to go right into the meeting.
Going
you
into it,
can,
or we're going to take a break?
Let's take a break.
Yeah.
Okay,
We
we're
were
going to take a
try
break,
and
ladies and
reach out to
gentlemen,
Melanie.
and we'll be back soon. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for the Village of Fredonia, 911 Church Street in Fredonia, New York, on this date, April 14th, 2025. Regular meeting beginning at 7 o'clock. I'm Mayor Mike Ferguson calling the meeting to order. Roll call of our trustees. Trustee Esperson.
Here.
Trustee Twitchell. Here. Trustee Syracuse.
Here.
Trustee Brockler.
Here.
Trustee Wandel is excused for this morning, or this evening, sorry. Pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can we get the approval of minutes, please?
Whereas members of this board have read the official minutes of the Board of Trustees' regular meeting of March 17th, 2025, and whereas members of this board have read the official minutes of the Board of Trustees regular meeting of March 31st, 2025, now therefore be it resolved that the board hereby approves the minutes as entered into the official minutes, and be it further resolved that the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
Second.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse? Passed.
This portion of the meeting is for public comment. Any member of the public wishing to speak, once recognized, shall stand at the microphone and state their name and address. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes if speaking for themselves, or 5 minutes if speaking on behalf of a group. I will ask the speakers to refrain from remarks that are in poor taste, slanderous, or not germane to any action taken or contemplated by the board.
First speaker is Mr. Sandrio.
I reviewed the agenda and I had a couple quick questions. There's one resolution to sign an agreement with the New York State Office of Information and Technology. Has the board reviewed that agreement?
We have.
You have? You have the agreement?
I have the agreement with me, yeah.
Yeah. Has it been reviewed by the board?
Yes, I've reviewed it.
All the board members?
Oh, I can only speak for myself.
I've read through it.
Okay. Just, and authorized to be signed by the treasurer, it should be the mayor or deputy mayor. I don't know why the treasurer's not authorized to sign contracts. I'm not trying to pass criticism, but you're not authorized to do that. Also, there's a resolution here to approve the contract with the PBA, police PBA. Has that agreement in final form and written and approved? Has that been written?
It was written by the PBA's attorney. Our attorney has not reviewed it. We're going to table it until she has an opportunity to do that.
That's a good idea. That should be put on hold, that resolution. Back to the questions I had on finances. The board adopted a resolution January 31st of this year to pass a revenue anticipation note in the amount of $825,000, which is a very significant amount of money, more than I can remember the village ever borrowing to complete its fiscal year. I think the village taxpayers need some information. I'm sure the treasurer can give them to us. What bank purchased the note? M&T Bank, or what? No information on that. When is the note due and payable? What's the interest rate charged to the village? Most importantly, what revenues are to be used to pay off the loan? And what impact will the $825,000 note and the interest on it have on the village tax rate? Was there a detailed report provided to the village board and the public explaining why the borrowing was necessary? Was the borrowing needed due to reduced revenues or due to overspending or exceeding the approved village budget, or a combination of both? The taxpayers, as well as the village board, should have knowledge about why that borrowing was necessary. Taxpayers deserve an explanation in writing. Details are needed, or this scenario could repeat itself. Regarding the resolution approving abstract of bills to be paid by the village, the abstract showing the bills authorized to be paid by the treasurer are not attached to the resolutions approved by the village board. They should be attached to the village board minutes so that they can be publicly reviewed online and by the news media. Has the village board reviewed and discussed the abstract of bills prior to approving them? Stating that the abstract of bills are on file with the village clerk's office is not adequate. Full disclosure and transparency of spending of village taxpayer money is required. Takes very little time to do that. Regarding Labella, I just want to
Finish this one sentence, Sam, but then what we could do is if you'd have other notes, I'll be happy to take those and distribute them.
Yeah, it just take me a minute. There's not a lot of speakers here.
Well, that doesn't matter. 3
Well,
minutes
what's
is 3
more
minutes.
important, the 3 minutes or getting some discussion on our finances?
The respect for people's time is what's more important.
Well, anyways, what I was going to say, has Labella submitted any bills for its secret report? The only person that voted against that resolution was trustee Michelle. Twitchell.
Okay.
Because that resolution contained no cost not to exceed. That should have
Right.
never been passed.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
James Linden.
Good evening, James Linden, Castile Drive. I've been listening to this board's comments and statements for over this last year and a half here. And New York State Constitutional Home Rule Authority essentially grants local governments greater self-governance. And so what that leads to is, hang on, here we go. The primary purpose of home rule is to increase local autonomy. Now, that local autonomy is a significant consideration for many people who choose, or when they are choosing a place to live. That consideration may include amenities they value, the type of community they prefer, or the level of independence it offers. Completed studies have shown consolidation of our water department, fire department, police departments with our neighboring city to not be in our best interest. And furthermore, would damage our autonomy. Consolidations into a larger government services does not necessarily mean better or cheaper services. For instance, we've got a contract that's years old with the county for shared services, for emergency services for our water, and the county has not provided that functioning service. The city of Dunkirk has, without consideration to the other people it provides water to, raised the rates multiple times, so has the county. Without consideration, nobody asked them, they just did it. There's your autonomy, it goes out the window. And that would happen the same thing with your fire and your police. So, with this now we're looking at this consideration of this budget. You've got a budget that you're currently in that was greatly inflated on the revenue side and excessively spent on the appropriations spending side, leaving with a tremendous deficit, or I guess you call it deficit and need to borrow, and leaving you with inadequate fund balance. Matter of fact, a negative fund balance. And even with this massive increase of rate increase that you're proposing is going to leave us with an ending year of negative fund balance, even larger. So I'd like to know how that happened during that year when you thought you had a balanced budget, but clearly you didn't. But if it's not the people of this village, with their autonomy of wanting to have services, it's the ability of this board that didn't perform. And maybe other
Thank you,
boards
Jim.
can actually take care of that business. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Correspondence?
Correspondence was received from the Secretary of the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department requesting the following names be removed from the active roll: Rebecca McDonald Page and David Sinclair.
Michelle?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at another. Be it resolved at the request of the Volunteer Fire Department to hang, no?
It's right under public portion.
Public portion.
First page.
You have a page under your workshop agenda, Mrs. Terry?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's okay.
That's where it is. There it is. Be it resolved that the request to remove the following individuals, Rebecca McDonald Page, Fredonia, and David Sinclair Dunkirk, from the active roll of the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department is hereby approved.
Second.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Thank you. And you have another correspondence?
I have one more, and then I'm going to read one from the public.
Okay.
Correspondence dated April 3rd, 2025 was received from the Secretary of the Volunteer Fire Department requesting permission to conduct the annual fund drive during May, June, and August, September of this year.
Be resolved that the request to conduct the annual fund drive by the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department is hereby approved. Be further resolved that the drive will take place during the months of May, June, and August, September, with donation request letters going out May 12th, 2025, and August 18th, 2025. Be further resolved that mayor will proclaim said months as annual Fireman's Fund Drive months.
Second.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Thank you.
Correspondence dated April 3rd, 2025 was received from the Secretary of the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department requesting permission to hang a banner across Temple Street from May 12th until June 2nd, 2025.
Be it resolved at the request of the Volunteer Fire Department to hang a banner across Temple Street for their annual fund drive, May 12th and June 2nd, 2025 is hereby approved. And be it further resolved that all information regarding this request will be provided to National Grid and DFT.
Second?
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
I received this email this afternoon. Hello, this is Ryan Tunstall from the Fredonia Beaver Club about having a pickleball tournament at Russell Joy Park. The tournament would tentatively be on June 8th with a starting time of 10 a.m. We would first do an introduction to pickleball warm-up time with the tournament promptly starting at 11 a.m. The tournament would be open to a maximum of 30 teams who would pre-register for this event. All teams must have at least one Fredonia Beaver Club member. Each team would be required to consist of a male and female player. The tournament would run a bracket-style system. After the tournament, the Fredonia Beaver Club will be providing lunch and refreshments to the participants. Proceeds from this tournament will be donated to a charitable cause through the Fredonia Beaver Club. Thank you for your time, Rylan Tunstall. I never had a request like this before, so I thought I would bring it before the board and see how we would do this.
So they're just asking us permission to use the courts?
Right.
And no one else.
That's what they're asking.
Because it's a
Yeah.
tournament.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the date on that?
June 8th.
Which I believe is a Saturday.
Assuming that's a Saturday.
We'll just have to let the club know that it would be closed that
Yeah.
day. One day out of the year. I don't think it's
So
horrible.
I can put a resolution for the next meeting that,
Sure.
that's okay?
That would be good.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
think so.
Probably.
Thank you, Ann.
Probably a good portion of the pickleball club are members of the Beaver Club.
Exactly.
anyway.
Yeah.
So they'll be scouting out the good players quickly.
Um,
Get your new sneakers, Jen.
Can you clarify if they're gonna be needing use of the, or have them clarify if they're gonna be needing use of the pavilion?
They will need the pavilion, but the gentleman said he didn't want to bother reserving it until he knew that he would get permission to do this.
Okay,
So he will ask to reserve the pavilion.
okay.
No one's using that pavilion then.
I don't know.
I know. That's
You know?
something-
Okay, yeah.
No, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if anyone else has booked that.
Well, certainly, if they did, we'll check the second
Yeah,
pavilion
I
and
hope
go from there.
Right.
Yeah.
Just make sure they have insurance.
All
Oh,
that.
yes,
Oh,
yes, definitely.
Certificate of liability. Yeah.
You know, it's a dangerous
That's
sport.
all I have for correspondence.
So
Thank
I've
you.
heard.
Mayor's report. Good evening. Before I get to my report, I want to thank the board, specifically Deputy Mayor John Esperson, for covering my back during the procedure. I would also like to thank the entire board for the tireless work and thankless work that they do to keep our village afloat. I would like to thank Anne Marie Johnson or Lissa LeBeau, along with Kara McGill, for keeping everything as it should be, day-to-day operation of the Village of Fredonia. I would also like to thank our various department heads and their teams for making sure that the service you expect every day continues for you and your families. DPW, police, fire, water treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant, churning along 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year due to the work of these men and women. Before I left, I submitted my proposed budget to the board for their review. I want to thank them for their tireless efforts of presenting a budget that I hope, when the smoke clears, is acceptable for everyone in these trying and expensive times. In the effort to provide our constituents with total transparency, been a lot of questions as to where I've been. First, I would like to let the public know that I did not have a heart attack this time, but procedures to make sure that I would come back better and stronger in the near future. I want to thank my heart team at Hammett Hospital for their amazing care. I went into Hammett for a bypass, part of my heart, and replacement of the main exit valve of my heart following surgery. I suffered a collapsed lung and had an ablation to shock my heart into its proper rhythm. God bless the people and staff, and especially my wife, for having to put up with me for 12 days, which was supposed to be a 5-day visit at Hammett. With all due respect, I don't plan on going back anytime soon. We have work to do, and while some may like it or not, I'm ready to fulfill my duties as your mayor with robust and focus. Thank you. Now for my report. It's obvious where I've been for the past 3 weeks, but I take great umbrage with the article on this morning's front page of the Observer. I don't hold MJ Stafford for this. He's doing reporting on something he read in the college newspaper, The Leader, concerning not Fredfest. I want to assure the public that the relationship between Fredonia State University and this community or government has never been stronger. Thanks to the cooperation of Fredonia's government and college leadership, it has strengthened and flourished this year alone. 4 meetings have been held, each one more positive than the last. Positive meeting with a plan to quell the limited yet serious violence of Not Fredfest weekend. You may not hear about the plan until its fruition. That's the idea of executing a plan. But plans are already underway to continue discussions for future events. College student leadership, event coordinators, and others have met with us to provide activities, suggestions, to diffuse negativity off campus. Chief Dave Price stated that he has been here 30 years and it's not seen a meeting nor collaboration between the two entities like this in the past. I want to thank the Fredonia Police Department, the Dunkirk Police Department, the Fredonia Fire Department, the Dunkirk Fire Department, the New York State Police, the College Police, and the Sheriff's Department for working collaboratively on plans on how to take some of the pressure off the community. Now to this article. The article represents a ticky-tack, he said, she said, with, as usual, no suggestions from students as to a positive discord. When I say students, I'm talking about the students that wrote the article, not the many students that showed up at our last meeting with good, strong, positive leadership of their various organizations. It's easy to write a poison pen article weeks before your senior graduation and leaving our community in your wake. The individuals have never addressed us with any positive suggestions on how to remedy this situation. One student said if he knew about our turbulence in these meetings and the water issue, he would have never have come here. You don't go to a college for the water, which we know you need. You go to the college for an education, and I'm pretty sure you got a good one while you were here. But I would have thought that a wise and educated young leader would have come to this community with suggestions on how to make things better. I hope that they will reconsider in the future. The individuals never addressed us, but I will say that the water issue is not the reason nor license to invite drug dealers and ne'er-do-wells into our community. The few ruin it for the many. It's not all college students. 90% of the students at this school, or 95%, are stand-up citizens who have done great things in our community, and we hope that they will consider the village as a permanent location somewhere in their future. So, as usual, read between the lines. The village water plan is focused and moving along, as we will have a strong bond between the village, college, our residents, and our temporary residents, the students of Fredonia State University. That's my report, and thank you. Trustee and committee reports. Trustee Twitchell.
I don't have anything tonight, Mayor.
Okay. Trustee Syracuse.
Nothing to report tonight.
Trustee Esperson.
We had another negotiation session with the fire department. The last one that was conducted was more of a work session, and they will be continued, they're ongoing. I went to the North County Water District meeting. Contrary to what you might have heard earlier, according to the 40-year contract that the city of Dunkirk has with the North County Water District, every year they review the gallons sold and the cost of production, and every year the price increases or decreases based on that figure. This year it increased 2%, which resulted in an 11-cent increase in water rates to the district. I am planning a trip to Brockport. That's a community that, much like the Village of Fredonia, about the same size, they were having, 10 years ago, they were having problems, not problems, they were having financial difficulties, and they formed a fire district with two local municipalities, adjoining municipalities that they had a fire contract with. And I'm going out there just to gather some information, see how they did that, see what the results were, see what the contracts were, see what the costs were, and just to, just gather some information and see if it's something that maybe at some point we might want to take a look at. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. Trustee Brockler.
Trustee Twitchell and I met with Code Enforcement Officer and reviewed some changes he proposed to our fees, which haven't been updated in over a decade. I think that's a good move, and we're going to move forward with adopting those. That's really all I have this week.
Thank you. I want to thank Tom and Chuck for their tireless work, too. Very busy time of the year for them. Treasurer's report.
The trustees have completed their proposed budget for the upcoming 25-26 fiscal year. This budget includes total revenue for all three funds of $13,109,011 and expenses of $12,784,546. This budget includes for the general fund $142,000 in capital costs, a tax rate of $61.09 per thousand, which is $24.14 of an increase, resulting in approximately $540 tax bill increase for the average household. This includes no increase for department heads, as well as rate decreases for all of the trustees and the mayor. The water fund includes $210,500 worth of capital funds. The rates for water will increase to $7.60 per 1,000 gallons. Base rates will remain the same at $30 per quarter. The sewer fund includes $57,500 worth of capital funds. The rates will be increasing to $8 per 1,000 gallons, as well as a $5 increase to $30 per quarter for the base rate. And that's it.
Thank you. Additional reports?
Yes, the Fredonia Justice Court report for the month of March 2025. Total number of cases closed was 157. Of those, vehicle and traffic, 112, criminal cases, 37, village ordinances, 3, civil cases, 5, for a total of fines and surcharges of $5,872. Parking ticket fines, $3,007, and that total together is $8,879. The code enforcement report for the month of March 2025. Building permits issued 18, inspections 31, certificates of occupancy 16, certificates of compliance 5, violations found 3, violations satisfied 0. Fees collected, permit fees $3,263.01, rental fees $360, certificate of compliance fees $500, electrical license fees $300, hearings, water, and sewer, $301.50 for a total of $4,724.55. Rental inspections were 6, rental renewals were 1. Property maintenance found 1 and removed 0. Junk cars and parts found 3, removed 1. 18 permits generated $3,263.01 in revenue. The estimated cost of work for the month of March was $1,056,922. And that's all I have.
Thank you. I do want to, I've mentioned this in the past, but I do want to thank Scott from DPW and Chuck and Tom for working on removing some of the eyesore homes that we've had in the village that have been sitting for a very long time. I know at least 2 or 3 have been taken down, schedule of another one very, very shortly. So they're working diligently, and I thank them for their time. Resolutions.
Be resolved that the request from Darwin Barker Library for the exclusive use of East and West Barker Common and the use of West Alley Municipal Lot on Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. for the General Lafayette Jubilee event is hereby approved as set forth below. 4:45 to 5:15, Drum and Fife Musical Performance, West Barker Common. 5:15 to 5:30 p.m., performance of Yankee Doodle by Boys and Girls Club, West Barker Common. 5:30 to 5:50 p.m., ballet performance by Infinity Dance Academy, West Barker Common. 5:50 to 6 p.m., Drum and Fife Musical Performance, West Barker Common. 6 to 6:20 p.m., historical reenactors portraying General Lafayette and Reverend Brown, horse-drawn carriage trip and gun salute. 6:30 to 8 p.m., period musical performance, West Barker Common. Vendors and food trucks will be available from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Second.
Trustee Rockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the village clerk is hereby authorized to advertise for sealed bids for the purchase of polycatonic polymer potable water coagulant liquid form, polyaluminum chloride water coagulant liquid form, polyorthophosphate, powdered blend inorganic phosphates, liquid chlorine, trichlorine tablets, 55-pound pails, ferric chloride, and synthetic flocculate for the fiscal year beginning June 1st, 2025 and ending May 31st, 2026. Said bid shall be returnable on Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025 at 2 p.m., at which time the bids will be publicly opened and read aloud in Conference Room 1, Village Hall. The Village Board of Trustees reserve the right to reject any and all bids to accept the bid deemed most advantageous to the Village of Fredonia. That probably should be 2026.
Yes, sorry.
That's all right.
Second.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the village clerk is hereby authorized to advertise for sealed bids for metered fuels, water meters, and hydrants for the village's fiscal year beginning June 1st, 2025, and ending May 31st, 2026. Said bids shall be returnable Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025 at 2 p.m., at which time the bids will be publicly opened and read aloud in Conference Room 1, Village Hall. The village board reserves the right to reject any and all bids and to accept the bid deemed most advantageous to the Village of Fredonia.
Second.
Before I ask for the vote, are we finding that we have a lot of need for these three items? Fire hydrants, water meters, and fuel meters?
Water meters, we exchange some every year, we buy some every year and.
Same with
exchange-
hydrants,
Yeah.
and this is for the fuel that sits at DPW. It's not fuel meters.
Okay. We have a second? We do, correct?
Yes, yep.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Whereas IT is responsible for protecting New York State government's cybersecurity infrastructure and does so by employing a multifaceted approach that includes coordinating policy standards and programs on cybersecurity across the state, partnering with state agencies, law enforcement, monitoring the state's technology assets, responding to abnormalities and threats to their systems, whereas DHSES is responsible for working with federal, state, local, private entities to protect the state's critical infrastructure from cyber threats and vulnerabilities and coordinate, facilitate information and intelligence sharing amongst these entities to assist in the early identification of and response to natural and man-made disasters. Whereas a participating entity provides vital services to residents of New York State and within its jurisdictional boundaries, whereas the parties remain committed to ensuring the safety of their respective critical infrastructure by investing in strategic collaborations and technology for strengthening cybersecurity and resilience in the face of evolving threats. Whereas there is established within the state a Joint Security Operations Center, JSOC, to serve as round-the-clock operational center for the purpose of sharing cyber threat information that is uniquely positioned as a sharing hub to integrate information and facilitate operational collaboration from multiple sources. Whereas the New York State Security Operations Center Initiative, hereafter NYSOC, is a one-of-a-kind cooperative approach between state and local governments to enhance collective cybersecurity and risk management capabilities and provide participating entities with actionable information to prevent, detect, respond to, and recover from cyber attacks. Whereas increasingly sophisticated cyber attacks on governmental entities as well as unauthorized access to their systems may compromise the security and integrity of government data, disrupt operations and services, and damage critical infrastructure, thereby risking the health and welfare of the public. Whereas the parties recognize that deployment and use endpoint detection and response, EDR, software, and rapid information share are foundational components of a sound cybersecurity program. Whereas the estimated total value of the endpoint detection license, which is provided at no cost to the participating entity over the term of the intergovernmental agreement, 3 years, is $17,619. Now therefore be it resolved, the treasurer and/or her designee is hereby authorized to sign an agreement between the New York State Office of Information Technology Services and the Village of Fredonia. Oh, we should change that to mayor?
Mayor,
Yeah.
right. I agree.
John, would you mind reading that whole thing again, please?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Second, as amended.
Trustee Rockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Where is the Village of Fredonia and the,
I
Were you
make a motion that we
table?
table this.
oh, that's right, yes.
I'll second that motion.
Yep.
Okay, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be entering into...
You have to vote.
We need
You
to
have to
vote.
vote on that, to table it?
Yeah.
Okay. Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end this session and go into an executive session. Can I have a motion to end this session?
I make a motion that we enter into executive session for matters regarding personnel within the village as well as contract negotiations.
Second. Trustee Rockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse? Trustee
Aye.
Esperson?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next Village of Board of Trustees workshop and board meeting will take place on Monday, April 28th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the trustee room. We also want to remind you that there's open meeting Wednesday, right? Or public hearing Wednesday.
There's two.
There's actually 2 public hearings Wednesday, this Wednesday, coming up. Both, what time is it starting?
6 and 6:30.
6 and 6:30, one to discuss the budget proposed, and the
One is
second.
the tax cap
One is
override.
the tax cap override. So we invite you, this hall,
Yes.
this room, this Wednesday, beginning at 6. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to enter an executive session. Thank you very much for your patience tonight, and have a great evening.